Because sometimes, honestly, you know as well as I do, you know the person that you're in a relationship with, the client, sometimes they're not the best fit for your business. So we're going to get into it. So check it out. Consider firing a client. So I'm going to put all four up, okay? Number one, when a client doesn't follow a contract. Number two, when a client lacks follow up. Number three, when a clients start listening to others with less skills, okay? And number four, when they don't pay on time, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go through all four on this list. I'm going to tell you a story. And some of the stories are going to be overlapping because honestly, some clients that we've had to let go actually do, pretty much all of these, okay? So number one, following a contract. All right, so check this out. About a year and a half ago, our client, our company came up with this idea of representing clients as a sales organization, right? And we were able to procure tons and tons of business for this particular client, right? But the client did not know or did not understand that typically how the sales game works is that what happens is we procure the client, okay, or the customer for our client, right? We get paid off the top, and then we pay our client who hired us to go out and get the sales. That's pretty much how the sales games work. Right? And so we started generating, quite a bit of revenue for this client. But let me tell you, because this client had actually been burned before by someone, what we decided to do was on certain clients, we decided to just give, let them collect the check, okay? In certain situations, we would let them collect the check. The problem that we had with them collecting the check, ultimately it all boiled down to, was once they would collect the check, we literally had to wait on our money, even though we handed them the money and they should hand us our money back. We literally had to wait on our money. And then sometimes when they would write us a check, the check would not clear, which is freaking amazing to me because they had the money. Although our contract specifically said that we get paid once we close the client. So, so in other words, they weren't really following the contract. And number four, technically they weren't paying us on time because we were supposed to get paid the moment we closed the contract. And so it actually led to it led to a rift in the relationship. Okay, so after some consideration, we decided to kind of let the client go. Right? We decided it's like, hey, look, we have all this business that we've closed for you. We've put all this money on the table, money that you wouldn't have never had in the first place. And so we feel that because you can't pay us on time, and then sometimes when you do pay us on time, the check doesn't clear, that we got to let you go. And, and so they're looking at us as if we're the enemy or the culprit here. But honestly, you owe us money still on contracts. So we had to let the client go. So what is the lesson here? The lesson to you as an entrepreneur, when people that you deal with, clients that you deal with, don't follow contracts, which, by the way, you should always get a contract. When they don't follow contracts, you have to let them go. You know why? Because one, every business knows that cash flow, the money that's coming in, that actually helps your business sustain and survive and scale. If that money's not coming in a timely fashion based on the contracts that you have out there, you really don't have a business. So anyone that interrupts, and when I say anyone, I'm talking about a client, anyone that interrupts the flow, your cash flow, then you got to let them go. It's a simple rule. They interrupt your cash flow, you got to let them go. You know what I mean? So I'm saying this to you as an entrepreneur. Never do business with someone, a client that does not follow contracts. But get a contract, because in case you have to get litigious, you have to take them to court to get your money. You have to sue them. You have to order audits of their books. You have to do all those different things in order to get your money. Then what you have to stand on is that contract. So never do business with a client or fire a client that is currently not following their contract to a T. Okay, but make sure you have a contract. So that's number one we covered. Number two is lack of follow-up. Okay, now remember I said it's all about brand reputation. It's all about you protecting your most precious asset. Besides time, brand reputation is everything. Brand reputation is how you get referrals. Brand reputation is how you establish yourself as a leader in an industry. Or, even if that industry is local, this is how you get business, and this is how you survive, and this is how you stay in business. Okay, so lack of follow-up. Here's a story. I get people quite a bit that I do business with, and some I don't. Okay, and I'm gonna give you two scenarios here. It's still one story, but two scenarios. People that I don't do business with are the people that I've put in my time, my most precious commodity, put in my time to put together, say, a scope of work for them, and I send it out to them, and maybe they can't even acknowledge that they got it. Even if I reached out to them more than one time, I know that they are the type of people that will, because they like follow-up, will probably not follow a contract, will probably not pay me on time, so I don't do business with them. So lack of follow-up and protecting your brand, okay, your brand reputation. If you have a client currently, right, that they've hired you, and you're doing your best, whatever your business is, you're doing your best to deliver to them any project on time and under budget, and you basically living up to or beyond the means of your contract, because you're really going the extra mile for the client, because you want the client to have that added value, that delivered added value. But maybe they don't follow up on an email, or maybe you've missed a deadline because they didn't follow up with you. And then they have the nerve to actually be upset with you over something that they didn't do. Okay. In business, we call it reframing. They like to cast the blame on someone else, so they reframe the situation and cast the blame on other people. Then guess what? If you have that type of client, then you might really need to consider firing that client. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when a client, or just human nature, hell, people tend to blame others for their lack, okay, for their lack of follow-up, for their lack of taking action, for their inability to do what needs to be done at the time that it needs to be done. Okay, so if you are dealing with someone like that as a client, then you definitely need to let them go. You want to know why? Because if they lack follow-up and something doesn't happen because they didn't do something, but then they cast the blame on you, then guess what? Then your brand reputation, again, that most precious commodity, that most precious asset that will actually help your business sustain, is in jeopardy. So you have to protect your brand. And those who lack follow-up, especially on a consistent basis, and I'm not saying missing a deadline here or there or not following up because maybe they didn't get something, but those are the type of people you definitely do not want to do business with. And if you are doing business with them, let them go, or consider letting them go. Okay? So, number three. Now, number three is very special to me because remember earlier I talked about taking a small cart in the mall to multiple stores scaled. This actually happened with us with a client. When we were really, really heavy into the marketing and consulting game, where we're into digital asset management and consulting and creating complete plans to actually help you scale your business, right? So we're any and everything and all things digital that actually help you leverage technology to grow your business. That is what we do, okay? That is what we do. It's just that simple. However, just like many of us who run social media marketing agencies, many of us who run advertising agencies, we were heavy in that game, and we were in that game for over 20 years, right? Tons of experience, run agencies, purchasing billboards, cable, television, in multiple markets. That was our game, okay? So once we actually had a client that was an herbal client, right? And the herbal client had very, very humble beginnings. Started off small card in the mall. We said, hey, we believe in your product. We believe in your what you're doing for the community. We can help you actually grow this. We won't charge very much up front. However, as you scale and you begin to grow, do know that the price will increase, okay? And they were like, okay, fine, I need help. Boom, right? So fast forward 5 years later, now they have multiple locations, right? They're selling online. Everything is beautiful. And in walks someone from a radio station, a Spanish-speaking radio station, whom we said you should not place any ads on that station. Why? Because one, it's not your market. Two, hell, you don't even have people inside of your business that really speak Spanish fluently enough to even take those type of calls, right? So the person that came in, the account executive from the radio station was 102.9 FM. And if you know anything about Hispanic radio, 102.9 FM is like the numero uno. It is to the Hispanic market what Magic 102 is to the adult contemporary urban market, what 97.9 The Box is to the young hip hop urban market here in Houston, Texas. So it's absolutely fantastic radio station. However, nothing wrong with the radio station, but there's a whole lot wrong with the matching of what they call segmentation. In other words, if this market is primarily Hispanic, why would you, and you're an African American owned business, but you feel like you need to tap into the Hispanic market, but you don't have anyone in your business that speaks Spanish on a consistent basis, working 9 to 5, why would you spend X amount of dollars on this station? So basically what the account executive did was walk into the store, held hands with the owner of the business, prayed, and I'm not being sacrilegious. I'm just telling you what happened, okay? Prayed with the person and convinced them to spend $6,000. It was all a sales tactical ploy. It really was. And then once commercials started running on the Hispanic station, they were getting no calls. And the calls that they did get, it was all in Spanish. And they could not handle it. So they came to us and said, hey, can you save this? Now, here's the thing about radio, okay? Once you spend your money on radio, there's no refunds. The only time you get a refund is like maybe when, air spots, commercials that run on the radio do not run. Maybe you'll get a refund from that, okay? But here's a side note. You probably noticed in your time of listening to radio on this earth, okay, you've probably heard the Father's Day sale or Memorial Day sale or Happy Mother's Day sale, right? After those holidays, because radio don't want to give you your money back. So, and that was the situation here. So the client actually ended up blaming us, even though we told the client not to run advertising on that radio station, right? And so we realized that the client wasn't listening to us. They listened to someone with less expertise, which was basically an account executive who had a financial benefit from the $6,000. In radio, typically new business gets about 15 to 20% commissions. Okay, that's typically how it is in a major market. So the $6,000 multiply that times 20%. What is that? 6 times 2, was at $1,200. So 20% of that $6,000, $1,200 went into the pocket of the account executive. So of course they want to sell. So if they need to, hold hands with you and pray and make you feel good, they're going to do it. Because, I mean, honestly, that's why people hate salespeople, okay? Because, salespeople can be, it can be unscrupulous. They can. All right. So anyway, the client was mad at us. And, when you combine that situation with some other things that the client didn't listen to and put money on things, they weren't listening to us, and they weren't getting the refund the return. The ROIA, return on advertising investment, then we realized that they weren't going to listen to us. So we just had to let them go. Right. So we just let them go. And that was it. We let them go. And why? Because we didn't want the client out there, even though we had taken them from a small cart in the mall to multiple stores. Right. We didn't want them out there putting a bad word out about our company. OK. And so I'm saying to you as an entrepreneur, if you have some business client that is not listening to your expertise, something that you specialize in, something that you day in and day out make your living from, then you might need to consider letting them go. However, this goes into number 4, the reason why we don't let them go. We should let them go when they don't pay on time. However, a lot of times, number 4, we should let them go when they don't pay on time. However, a lot of times we don't let them go because a lot of times 1 or 2 clients are the lion's share of our business. 80% of our business might come from a few clients, and that's a terrible place to be. You know what I mean? That's a terrible place to be, because if you fire a client where the lion's share of your revenue is coming from, then chances are you might go out of business, right? And so that's why a lot of times we don't fire clients that don't pay on time, fire clients that don't follow contracts, that lack follow-up, that listen to others' expertise. And when they don't pay on time, you can best believe you're the last on the list. If they're doing all 1 through 4, you're the last on the list that they're going to pay. Because oftentimes, I don't know why people think, especially, and I'm specifically talking about marketing in this situation, that marketing is something that any and everyone can do. Any and everyone can run social media, right? Any and everyone can do that. But like I said, technology is democratized, but strategy is not. So when you have a client that does not pay you on time, even though a lion's share of that, of your company's revenue is coming from that client, then you really need to start working on lead generation and generating more clients that that can make up for the possible windfall of losing that client. And once you've done that, and these clients don't pay you on time, because literally they're well-known clients. From being in radio, they're well-known businesses out there, okay? Right now, businesses that you frequent, okay, that you walk into, chicken businesses, for example. That you walk into that have been taken to court by radio stations because maybe they owed $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 and they never pay the radio station. That's, by the way, when you're getting ads on credit. Okay. All right. So I'm saying to you, if any client that you have falls within 1 through 4 on this list, you need to consider reevaluating how you deal with that client and whether or not you need to fire them. So I said to you that I would offer you a suggestion or a recommendation on how to fire a client. And it's real simple. You should fire a client via a breakup email, right? And you might say, well, what is a breakup email? Well, a breakup email serves several purposes, right? A breakup email, 1, tracks the fact that you are letting the client go in case someone ever takes you to court. Okay. But you specifically cite why you're letting the client go. Maybe they're not following the contract. Maybe part of in the contract is that they have to follow up within, say, a 24-hour period, but they don't when you request information for them. Or maybe they can't seek any outside advice when it comes to what it is that you're doing, which is number three. They're seeking outside advice for people with less expertise. You need to cite that example. And number four, maybe they don't pay you on time. Maybe they bounce checks. Maybe they should pay you in 30, but they're paying you in 60 and 90, and it's terrible for your cash flow of your business. Then you just have to let them go. But you need to cite all of the reasons in this breakup email, right? Because if you fire a client, chances are they're going to put out bad things about you. Now, I know that this is a topic that a lot of people really don't like talking about, okay? But I said that I would talk about things that you should know as an entrepreneur and start up in any business. So I hope that the things that I share with you today will actually help you in your overall business. And that's knowing when to fire a client, because the number one thing that you have to protect always is your brand reputation. Okay? Hey, everyone, I'm AJ, your host of the Startup Junkie Live. Be sure to check out the podcast on iTunes, iHeart Media, Spotify, as well as TuneIn and Alexa. And we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be coming to you tomorrow. We're going to talk about systems and how you can set up systems in your business to streamline many of your processes and overall help your business become more efficient. And I'm going to have $1,000 offer for you tomorrow. $1,000 offer, almost a money back guarantee. Guarantee a money back. Okay? Just think about what I said to you today. And also be sure to check us out on all of your social platforms. Currently, we broadcast. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is your host, AJ of the Startup Junkie. And in today's show, we're going to talk about